Unsurprisingly, things since my last update have been insanely hectic. Truly haven't been able to find the time to write these next posts for you until right now, so I'm sorry for all the worry I caused anyone with the abrupt ending of my previous post. My wife and I, luckily, are once again okay. We're still very shaken up by every little terrifying thing that's happened in the last 2 days, but thankfully we'll be fine. Our bond has only strengthened during all of this, so this is a massive positive in a boatload of negatives. Before I get into the finer details about last night, I want to address something that a lot of you have been saying the past 2 days. That it was a bad move for me to withhold the truth from Mary. I thought I was doing the right thing in the moment, but lying to her was a bad idea. I could have gotten her killed, and that makes me feel awful. I came clean with her earlier today. She's handled it about as well as I could have expected. My face is still red where she slapped me, but she accepted my apology. See, I'm not perfect. I'm glad that my most recent blunder didn't cause any irrevocable harm. Anyway, here's everything I know about what happened last night. When I heard the first bangs on the front door, I could tell almost immediately that the door had no chance of keeping out whatever was trying to get in. I posted the update grabbing the shotgun, and I took my terrified wife to the closet. It was the safest option, really. There was only one entrance in the surprisingly spacious closet that we were able to block the door with our wooden shoe rack. I kept the shotgun in hand until we emerged from our makeshift panic room almost half an hour later. Our house is pretty compact, and the only closet that we hid in is right above the entryway to the house, so we were still able to hear what was happening downstairs pretty clearly. We heard the door splinter and then slam heavily to the floor in a heap. We then heard the heavy poundings of feet on the wood floor as whatever was downstairs did who knows what in the entryway. The most disturbing thing that we heard, though, was its voice. It's complicated. It didn't really speak. It just loudly growled and groaned guttural gasps as it, scurried around in our entryway. Mary cuddled close to me, whimpering, and barely managed to get a petrified whisper out of me. He's saying words? I hadn't been focused on whether it was saying anything before then, so I tried to discern any words that I could understand, and sure enough, I could sort of distinguish what sounded like gibberish between the seemingly pained moans coming from downstairs. Something like a... He repeated these same sounds a few minutes, making rough and sporadic stops in between them, and also occasionally stopping to make pained wheezing sounds. It sounded like a man who had his vocal cords irrevocably damaged. He was trying to chant something. It was a terrible sound, like 1,000 nails on a chalkboard. And then another moment of listening to this disturbing melodic gibberish. Our home fell silent again. Mary and I looked at each other. I'm almost positive we both were thinking the same thing at that moment, that we wouldn't leave the closet until we were 100% sure that whatever was downstairs was gone, no matter how quiet it got. Sure enough, after 5 minutes or so, we heard a loud shriek and the now familiar pounding of heavy footsteps on our wooden floor as it sprinted deeper into our house. My heart skipped about 10 beats as we heard it pounding on the door inside our house. We would have heard him come up the stairs if it was the door to our bedroom, so we both breathed a sigh of relief as we heard him forcing his way into our basement. Everything else happened almost too quickly to process. We heard the door to the basement break with a similar crackle as the front door, followed by a few thuds in immediate succession, followed by bangs of footsteps making it charging down into our basement. We heard another relatively distant but still blood-curdling shriek come from the creature, and then silence again. It was much longer before we heard a shout coming from downstairs. "Police, come out with your hands up!" The police arrived on the scene in full force probably 20 minutes after receiving my call. I had told the operator I was fortifying myself in the bedroom and where the bedroom was, so I wasn't too surprised to hear knocking on the door minutes after they had entered the house. I was a little nervous to leave the safety of the closet, as my imagination had me worried that whatever had broken into my house was disguising itself as a police officer to lower my guard, but then the voice on the other side of the door addressed me by name. I realized it was Sergeant James speaking with me. If you don't remember, he was one of the officers who came to my house when I first phoned the police about the trespasser. He escorted Mary and I out of the house while the rest of the police officers marched down into the basement. There were even more officers with their guns at the ready outside. I finally felt safe for the first time all night. Sergeant James took us to an ambulance parked at the end of our driveway where paramedics awaited us to make sure that we were okay. After we were cleared medically, we hopped in Sergeant James's patrol car and he took us to the station for questioning. I should backtrack a bit. Even though Sergeant James clearly wanted us to get out of the house as quickly as possible, I was to observe the chaos that lay on the floor just inside my front door. They were the expected but disturbing sights, such as the wrecked front door lying on the floor and the large scratch marks on the doorframe. But there was one unexpected piece of evidence that disturbs me on a whole different level. The police have said nothing about it still, no matter how much I've asked. Starting on the front porch, splashed upon the splintered piece of wood that lay on the floor, and streaking all across the floor in a jagged line leading to the basement door was a bizarre, dark crimson substance. Obviously, my first guess would have been blood, but since this whole situation is extremely bizarre, I can't really be sure. If anyone has any idea what this is, or why the creature would be bleeding all over the place, please. I don't know if the police are withholding information from me or simply don't know the truth themselves, but I can't stop thinking about it. Once we got to the police station, Mary and I were given time to relax as best we could. We hugged each other and cried, and that's pretty much all we've ever been able to do since leaving the house. It's hard to relax during times like these. They began questioning us a little before 7 a.m. Most of the questions were uneventful or pertaining to things that I already mentioned in one of these 3 posts, so I won't bore you with all the extra details, but however, one of the detectives stated that whatever I had discovered in my yard 2 nights ago was most likely not human. He believed this on an examination of the marks on my front door frame, the basement door, and some of my walls. The examination revealed that they were simply too deep, too wide to be caused by a normal human fingernail. Were caused by something more durable than fingernails, maybe a large knife, maybe large claws. And the forensics suggests that the marks are so uniform in length and distance between each other that they are too precise to be caused by separate blows. Unsurprisingly, they told us that we won't be able to stay in our house for a significant amount of time, which I'm perfectly fine with. Mary was able to get us a room in a cheap hotel for now, and we will most likely make the trip to Mary's sister's to stay with her until we figure out what to do. I'm writing this now from our hotel room. My laptop was kept as evidence, and I gave the police permission to check the surveillance cameras on it, so I'm using my phone to write this, and I don't know what happened in my small, quiet neighborhood after I left my house early this morning. The police are being secretive about everything, but I don't really care at this point. I'm just glad this whole situation finally seems to be under control, and I'm going to catch up on the 2 days' worth of sleep that I mostly lost out on. Have a good night, everyone. Update. The ringing of my phone woke me up half an hour ago and I answered. On the other line was Detective Laird, one of the detectives involved in combing the crime scene. I didn't know what to expect since I'd already told the police everything I knew. He asked me how many exits there were to my house, to which I replied 3. There's the front door, the back door, and the storm door leading out of my basement. I said obviously the windows could be used as an exit as well, but he confirmed that none of them had been open or broken upon investigating the house. There was a long pause, and then I heard Detective Laird swallow air nervously. And then he explained, well, your house is currently surrounded by police officers. It has been since the moment that we got here. Not a single officer outside has seen the intruder leave your home. Inside the house, even more officers have checked every inch of the house and haven't found any signs that the intruder is still here. I said nothing. And we checked the security feed on your laptop as well. We watched and rewatched and rewatched again every second of the recording. No sign of the intruder leaving. We don't know where he went. I don't know what to do anymore. Hey there kids, and happy October. It's me, Mr. Creepypasta, and I just wanted to tell you a couple things that are happening this October that haven't ever happened before. First off, if you take a look at the channel, you'll notice that I'm currently live. That's right, we started up doing a Halloween horror radio program. That means 24/7 without interruption, you'll be hearing Creepypasta stories, read by yours truly. And as well as a few other guests that we've had on the channel before. The other thing are Halloween exclusive t-shirts. These t-shirts are available in the Mr. Creepypasta link down below in the description. Actually, at any point if you want to check out the description, feel free to scroll down and see what kind of cool stuff's going on down there. Oh, and of course, the Halloween countdown starts on the 18th. Look forward to seeing you all. And sweet dreams.